Well, howdy, cowboy.
Howdy.
Well, now that we've introduced your hat,
Yes, thank you for pandering to my desperate desire to be a cowboy from the deep south. I appreciate it. All right, cool. So tonight, we are going to talk about, this is always a tough phrase for me to use because it's so heavy. And I don't use the word lightly, but we know that people are going through the same thing or a similar thing to what we went through. So the more authentic, the better. I hated you during our separation and the lead up to that and during our separation. So we want to talk a little bit about why, what you did or what you didn't do, or was it all me, or like what was the dynamic there for people who are going through the same thing? Maybe your spouse has left you, or there's somebody else, or like your marriage is in trouble, and this person that loved you for so long now hates your living guts. Why is this happening? That's what we want to talk about today.
Yeah, and I think it is such a strong contrast because, like, I remember us being head over heels, madly in love, and when you walked out, I could feel you dripping with hatred. And so, how does a relationship go from I love you, I want to spend the rest of my life with you, I do, to all those things, to I hate you, I regret marrying you, I want out of here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so let me talk about it from my perspective. So I, as most people will know, was in an affair at the time when I'd made the decision to leave. And I was in a limerent affair. And if you don't know what limerence is, we'll stick a link to a video about what it is and what you can expect. But I was in this madly in love affair with somebody else. And some of the characteristics of that or one of the characteristics are vilifying your spouse. So I had to make you the bad guy. And the reason I had to do that is I knew what I was doing was wrong.
Oh, and I made it so easy for you.
Well, irrespective of that, I still had a choice, right? Whether you were the worst wife in the world or the greatest wife in the world, I still had a choice in the things that I did. So I'm in this affair and I'm madly in love with this person. And I know it's wrong. Goes against everything I believe to be the right thing to do. I have to nitpick and make mountains out of molehills of every potential negative trait about you. Why? In order to justify what I'm doing. I have to find a way to justify it. And so that, like, nitpicking and making mountains out of molehills became hatred. And if anything you did smelt like the story that I'd concocted about you in my mind, it would justify what I'm doing. You see, she ruined my life and I never loved her and I married her out of obligation and like whatever the story was that I was telling myself. And
nothing you ever do is good enough. And, like, look at all the hoops I have to jump through. She doesn't appreciate me. All of it. All she ever does is criticize. And I did not make it easy. I didn't make it difficult for you to hate me. I made it very difficult for you to love me.
So here's an interesting part of this conversation is I take responsibility for what I did, irrespective of whether you were amazing or not. Now, when you're on the receiving end of somebody like me who's in a limerent affair, or maybe they're not in an affair, it's just they're just leaving you for a lifestyle, or they claim to not be in love with you anymore, and they still have to justify what they're doing, right? So there's hatred and vitriol towards you. What we want is for you as a standing spouse is fighting for your marriage to recognize that, okay, hang on a minute, like this person, I'm not as bad as they're making me out to be. This is a symptom of something. My spouse is needing to justify what they're doing and they're vilifying me. So this is part of the process. However, what's really important is we always say, even though you as a standing spouse don't take responsibility for your spouse's actions, irrespective of what they're doing, what we do encourage you to do is recognize your contribution to the state of your marriage. Okay?
Yes.
So every time we speak about this, I want to make a clear distinction. What
Do
your spouse
not-
is doing is not your fault. It's their responsibility. However, we both contribute to the state of our marriage.
Yes.
So instead of just going, okay, my spouse is in limerence and they're vilifying me, I don't need to do anything.
Therefore, I'm absolved of all responsibility for the hatred that they feel, and therefore need to improve nothing
Yes.
about myself. Yes.
Take the time to, you can't control your spouse, you can't control your marriage. What you can control is you. We say this over and over again. So let me do some introspection and go, what did I contribute to our marriage?
So when you said things to me, I would take the thing and sort of pick it apart and go, what of this statement that you've just said, like I am the worst wife in the world, is true and what is not? So can I safely say I was the best wife in the world? Absolutely not. But now I can take that statement and go, okay, what do I do that makes him feel like I'm such a bad wife? Well, maybe the fact that I'm constantly criticizing him. Maybe the fact that I'm always trying to control or to tell him what I think is best, even for him and his future. And listen, like, even though my intentions were pure and like good and kind and I wanted the best for you, that doesn't matter because that's not what you were receiving. Sure. So I would take what you said and I would sort of analyze it and pick it apart, because there's always like the tiniest little bit of truth to something. But the last thing I want people who are standing for their marriages to do is go, oh, it's because I was a bad wife.
Yeah.
And even if you do pick up, oh, wow, I was so criticizing, or oh, wow, I'm so controlling, or oh, wow, I'm so defensive. Even if you pick those things up, still doesn't make you, still doesn't justify what they're doing, still doesn't, give any sort of validity to the pain that you're experiencing now, like at the hands of this person. It still doesn't make that okay. But at least, you see, the thing is, you can't change what you don't acknowledge. So as long as you are fighting things like, no, I was perfect, I was good, I was kind, I was loving, as long as you stand by your intentions and never consider how it was making the other person feel, you can't change anything. And I remember the first time I heard that, now you're in an affair, you have just left us, abandoned us, left the three girls sitting on the couch sobbing, and a couple of weeks in, I found this video, and there's this guy saying, you played a role in the downfall of your marriage. And at first I was livid.
Yeah.
This like rebellion. Are you saying that I deserve this? Who the hell do you think you are? I got so what's the word, indignant.
Yeah.
I was like, how dare you insinuate that any of this is my doing. And then once I had calmed down and started to sort of reflect, I realized, oh dang, I kind of did play a role in this. And then I went into the self-pity, woe is me, like he's never going to trust me again. He's never going to, it's started becoming a little bit less about you getting a second chance and more about me getting a second chance to do better, but in a healthy way, right? Like, you don't want to be taking on like, oh, I'm responsible for his affair and how do I get him to stop having the affair and how, but I certainly didn't have to continue adding to the downfall. Someone once described it to me like this. They were trying to get me to give up, right? And they described our marriage as a cauldron. And they said, you see, Ren adds bad stuff to this cauldron and you add bad stuff to this cauldron. And the concoction that's being made in this cauldron is just toxic. It's terrible. And that's just, that's what he brings and that's what you bring. And while she was talking, I thought to myself, I wonder what would happen if I stopped adding the garbage I'm adding to the cauldron. What if, you know how like when you're making a stew and you've put too much salt, one of the sort of antidotes for too much salt is tomatoes or tomato sauce or something like that, because it balances the salt. I thought, like, what if I counter your hatred with kindness? What if I counter your frustration with love? So I went on this mission to stop adding toxicity to the cauldron. And I think it's amazing because now neither of us add toxicity. And even if some does slip in by accident, there's grace and there's love and there's understanding, you know, but the point that we're trying to make is that no, the affair is not your fault. And the fact that your spouse hates you as much as they do right now is also not your fault. They've chosen this because when you are trying to do something that you just know is detrimental to everyone, the only thing that helps you to sleep at night is to justify it some way. And the best way to justify it is to make your spouse the bad guy in your story. She neglected me. She doesn't love me. She's been sabotaging me. I'm just an ATM to her. She doesn't care. She doesn't get me like my affair partner gets me. She doesn't understand, you know, all the things that you tell yourself. And then as your spouse gets more and more hurt by the situation, the more they act out in that way, which just reaffirms all those beliefs that you have, that she doesn't care, she does not for you, and so on. And then the sort of cycle perpetuates.
Yeah, absolutely. And the interesting thing about the sort of hatred that I felt towards you is we always say you're the mirror, right? So I'm justified, I feel justified in what I'm doing. When I see you, I'm reminded of the fact that I'm doing the wrong thing. And so it kind of makes me want to bring out the worst in you. So I might, out of the hatred and the vilification, I might goad you into, you know, into the toxic behavior so that I can, you see, she hasn't changed. I have every right to do what I'm doing.
And you know, that's a subconscious thing. You don't purposefully make that decision. So just in case someone out there's spouse is doing this to them, I need you to know it's not a purposeful decision that they're making. It's a subconscious thing to validate the perception they have of you in their minds. So if you've been kind and gentle for the last little while and they're starting to doubt the voice in their head that says you're this monster, they will try to bring out that monster so that it can confirm for them what they believe to be, or what they've tried to convince themselves into believing is true.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's the thing. Now you recognize the contribution you made to the state of our marriage, and you start working on yourself, and you stop doing the things that make me vilify you.
And the situation gets
worse. Yes. Why? Because I think, why now? After all these years, now you decide to change. The second thing I'm thinking is, you're just trying to manipulate me.
Just trying to trick me into
You're trying to trick me into coming back, and if I come back, you're going to become the same person that I wanted to leave in the first place. So if you are standing for your marriage, and you have found some of our videos and you've started working on yourself, and you're no longer controlling, and you've learned things like acceptance and grace and forgiveness, and your spouse is getting worse, it's normal.
And it's a good sign.
Yeah, it is a good sign.
Because it means there's a level, even a level they may not want to admit, but there is a level that sees the changes. They see that you are becoming better. Another thing that people will often say is something like, oh, well, you see, it's a good thing that I left because look how much better you're becoming now.
Yeah.
Another way to justify what I'm doing, because you see, it's what's best for everyone involved. But here's the thing with justifications. They're like fizzy tablets. One minute they're there and they're super effervescent and bubbling and it makes all the sense in the world. And the next thing, all the bubbles are gone and it doesn't have the impact it had once before.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. So you're a standing spouse. Your spouse who is in an affair or wanting to leave you or has left you is throwing all sorts of daggers at you. What do you do as a standing spouse? Now that you know where this is coming from, what do you do?
The most important thing to do is to stay 100% consistent over a long period of time in the new chosen behaviors, because that's the only way that you can rewrite a perception somebody has of you. If all your life, everyone has always said, Ren is ... and Ren stops being ... it is going to take time for people to see you as anything but ... especially your spouse, and especially in the state that they're currently in. Okay, so you want to recognize that when they try to bait you into old behaviors, when they say something outrageous, or they say, like, it can seem outrageous because 1 minute they're saying, there's no hope for us, we're never going to make it, there's no future, and then the next minute they're saying something like, like, I don't know what the future holds, and you're like, I don't understand. Like, 1 minute it's never, ever, ever, and then the next minute it's, well, maybe, is to the never, ever, ever might just be the trigger they're looking for to try and trick you into your old behavior. And the minute you take the bait, all it does is reaffirm the monster they have of you in their heads, and it makes them go, you see, there she is. That's the chick I'm leaving. That's the guy that I'm walking out on. You see, they'll never change. They have very, like, when limerence is active, or when somebody just really wants out of a relationship, their level of grace for mistakes is very low. So how we went through a period of time where I felt like I had to be on best behavior all the time, but it's not like that anymore. I mean, I make mistakes all the time, and you have oodles. Surprise. And you have oodles of grace for me. You're always so understanding and so compassionate and validating, and it's amazing. It's amazing. So,
well, I learned from the best. It's easy to show you, because I received so much of it and needed so much of it. So thank you.
Oh. So consistency and time is very important for that process. And then kind of just sticking it out, I know there were a lot of things that, like, moments that came about during the stand that helped you to see that I was different. One of the examples that I often share with clients is we happened to be separated over Christmas, and I was always super controlling and super obsessed and super stressed because everybody had to get the perfect gift, because my love language is gifts, and so I've got to give the perfect gift. And it was a very miserable time. I think I ended up making it really miserable. Like, I was super pedantic about how the tree was decorated, and was, like, when the kids hung something in the wrong place, like, I was worse than Sheldon, right? Sheldon on Big Bang Theory has like a little, he calls it the ornament spacer, right? It's going to make sure no ornaments are, like, I would have loved an ornament spacer. I mean, I was eyeballing it. No, anyways, getting off track. The point is that that over that Christmas, I remember you walking in and going, what happened to the tree? And I was like, oh, the girls decorated it. And you were like, and you're okay with that? And I was like, yeah, it's fine. And I wasn't like, oh, it's fine, like twitching, I was genuinely okay with it, because I was learning to relinquish control to make space for joy, especially over Christmas time. And I think it was little moments like that kind of culminated in when I said to you, hey, confess, and you were expecting something way different. I mean, do you remember calling me about having the girls for the weekend while we were separated? Mm-hmm. How did you expect that conversation to go?
Oh, terribly. I came in hot. I came into that conversation on the offense, because I knew it was going to be a blow up, and you were going to be difficult about it. And woe betide, you were kind and gracious and understanding and forthcoming. Yes, absolutely, you can have the girls. It it was quite something, and
was
it messed
disarming.
with me. It was disarming, but it was so frustrating because I was like, where's this witch I'm wanting to divorce? What have you done with her?
Yeah.
So yeah, incredibly frustrating. But yes, the consistency was incredible. And what was incredible about that also was that post-reconciliation, there was so much safety in our relationship. Well, initially, from your side, you were safe for me. And I trusted that. There were some things I had to undo in my mind. They were like, I had created this picture of you, and there were some things that you actually had done. And so it took some time for me to not get triggered and feel, are we going back to Adelé being controlling? It took a bit of time, but your consistency was incredible. It laid the foundation for our reconciliation and for us to have the marriage that we have today. So we want to encourage you, if you're standing for your marriage, that it might seem like it's not working. First of all, you're doing this for yourself. We also say this over and over again. You are making these changes because it's who you want to be, not to get the right reaction out of your spouse, because if you do these things and your spouse is vilifying you, it's not going to go well. So you have to be doing this for you, right? Making the changes. So we just want to encourage you that when you start making changes, you recognize that there's some things that you contributed to the marriage and you want to change those things. When you start making the changes, first of all, your spouse is not going to respond well. You're making these changes for you, not to get the right reaction out of your spouse. That's super important. But we want to encourage you to just stay the course, like what you said, to be consistent over time. It might not seem like it has any effect on anything right now, but it is so powerful. Every time you choose kindness over anger and grace over resentment and forgiveness over bitterness, every time you do that, it lays a little bit more of the foundation of what your marriage is going to look like. Even if it feels like everything's at the moment falling apart and there's no hope for your marriage, you are building the foundation, laying the foundation for what your future marriage is going to look like. Do not lose hope and do not lose heart. It is so incredibly powerful. I know, because I was on the receiving end of it. I can't begin to explain to you how powerful and life-changing that grace is. It is the kindness of God that leads clowns like me to repentance. And that's what you showed. You showed the kindness of God when I didn't deserve it. So if you're standing for your marriage, you're watching this video and you're like, my spouse is a son of a gun and they don't deserve. No, they don't. But neither do we. None of us do. But the thing that changes us is the kindness, the undeserved grace and mercy of God. That's the thing that changes us, not fighting fire with fire.
Yeah. And it's hard. It's hard because you like, it's so natural to give back what you're receiving. And you're right, babe. Like the stuff goes so unnoticed, so unappreciated. Even if I pointed it out, you'd say something like, well, finally, finally you're being decent. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's met with so much negativity, and it's really important, like you said, to keep the focus on yourself, but also know this. While it goes completely unnoticed, it's like you are saving in a very interesting compound interest type account.
Yeah.
And you are
really
going
good.
to be able to withdraw from that account at some point. So even though it's going unnoticed, once the limerent fog lifts, or the spouse does finally accept the changes that you've made and considers coming back or something like that, they really do take into account how you have been the last 6 months, how you have treated them the last 2 years. The fact that you stayed so consistently loyal and kind, and when you had every right not to, speaks volumes of the kind of character that you have, which makes you uber attractive.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. I can 100% attest to how incredibly attractive that is.
you just love my compound interest account.
Awesome. Okay, so if you're struggling with this, if this video has spoken to you, Adelé and I are coaches. We're marriage coaches, and we have a community of incredible people like you who are also standing for their marriage. The links to book with us and the links to join the community are below this video. We believe in you. We don't even know you, and we're so proud of you for the fact that you're refusing to give up in the face of such seemingly insurmountable odds and people telling you that you should divorce, and the fact that you've gotten to this point of the video is incredible. We honor you. We have respect for you. And if you want our help, we'd be happy to walk with you. You are amazing.
No, you.
Thank you for creating this for us and for never giving up on someone like me. And if you can do it,
Yep.
hey,
Anyone can.
Anyone can do it, right?